A lot of people ask about navigation and stuff. How do I find these trails? Well, I get a motor vehicle use map. They go by ranger district for each national forest, so they have these paper maps, and they show what the legal routes are for OHV recreation. You can also download an app called Avenza. They've got Gaia. Let's see. This is Onyx, on-off road. A lot of people say that you can't use these things because there's no cell site. Well, see, it says offline. Basically, what I have to do is I have to download the map to the phone before I lose cell signal. So at home, I have the entire state of Idaho downloaded for Onyx. So I have no cell service right here, but you can see these green squares. I have downloaded each of these sections so that the entire state of Idaho is on my phone when I'm offline. The other one's Gaia, I mentioned, Avenza and Onyx. Avenza, you can download all the motor vehicle use maps. So again, with the Avenza app, we'll go to Avenza. Like this is the Payette, but I have downloaded all of these maps. So when I get to the forest that I'm going to ride, I just select the map. If you wait and have no cell service, then it's impossible to download these maps once you're at your location. So this is something you have to do at home, is to load the maps and then select the map for the forest that you plan to ride in. So another thing about navigation, when you go out and ride, you got to have the skills to ride these trails, especially when you do like me and come out here solo. You don't know, the map doesn't tell you when you're exploring trails how difficult the trail is. You also need a chainsaw. You need to be prepared for these trails because there can be downfall with all the wildfires and bark beetle infestations. So you can clear the trail and stay on the trail. A handsaw is simply ineffective for when you get into any real downfall, which I encounter almost every ride. The idea that somebody's out here with a handsaw cutting 50 to 100 trees in a day is just ridiculous. And that's the reality of what's out here. You know, unless you're riding a heavily used, concentrated use trail like at Idaho City, you know, then you're more likely to not run into downfall. But when you go out exploring new areas in remote backcountry, you need a chainsaw and the skill to ride these trails, because, as I said earlier, the trails aren't marked as easy, intermediate, black for black diamond, hard, or double black diamond for really hard. And most of these trails, even the easy intermediate type trail, do have difficult spots. While most of the trail is easy, there are challenging spots along the way, and so you need to have the skills to be able to handle that. So I highly recommend taking a riding class and gaining the skills. Jimmy Lewis, Brian Garahan are two that come to mind. I'm not a fan of the so-called hard enduro. I'm not a fan at all because they promote off-trail riding. They don't seem to be able to comprehend teaching where it's appropriate to do that type of riding. You know, if you're at Erzberg and you're riding a mining strip mine, you know, more power to you. But when you're on public land on designated trails where you have a motor vehicle use map, you're restricted to the designated routes. I'm 62 years old. I grew up riding wherever I wanted to ride. I know all about cross-country travel. I know all about open use designations. But we've lost that on public land. There's very few places that have open use designations. Johnson Valley would be one place that's appropriate. You can go anywhere you want. It's an open use designation. So you got to know the riding area you're going to. If you're riding on public lands like the Salmon Chalice National Forest, it's designated routes only, and you need to stay on the trail. And that's where I have the problem with these hard enduro folks. They willfully promote illegal riding, simply going wherever they want to set up their hard enduro section. So for example, a hard enduro person would come and they'd see that rock over there and they'd go jump it. Well, we're in a designated use area. I see that as no different than a quad-tard spinning donuts in the campground. What I witness hard enduro wannabes do. So Jimmy Lewis does a great job, and Brian Garahan out in California does a great job. So I encourage taking a class and stay on the trail instead of going around. So fall day, winter's storm is rolling in. These trails will all be closed by snow soon, but the reality is if all these are cleaned up, it makes trail clearing in the spring so much easier. When the trails are cleared, when the snow shuts everything down. Anyways, do your part and be a responsible rider. Carry a chainsaw and clear the trails you enjoy. Okay, so we just cut this one down too. It rained all the way up here to this riding, and the rain's pushing in, so I'll probably get soaked. It's only supposed to be for an hour or two here in the morning, but probably won't have the camera on because it's going to start dumping on me here for a bit. Okay, so yeah, this is easy to go around, but that could bust a guy's toe that doesn't see it when he comes around that tree right there. Doesn't realize it's there. He's in somebody's dust. He can take his toe out. So clean those up so you don't hurt a fellow rider. Tree's already been cut on this side all the way through. Notice I don't cut it this way. I cut it this way open so that I can roll the log that way. Okay, I do the same thing. I open up. This cut is cut like this at an angle so that the small end of the log, the cut, can roll into the fat end of the cut, and I can push the log in that direction. Number two, this log is under tension or compression, tension, whatever. It's the weight's going down, okay? But I have already cut more than 60% of the way into here. I'm going down. Most people will cut like this down, and then they need a wedge because this gap is going to close. I have a wedge right here with this material that's keeping this cut open. Okay, so now I don't have to bury the tip. In other words, if you cut down like this, I got to put the bar all the way through deep. Okay, so here I have a wedge, didn't close up my gap. The weight of the log is pushing downward, so I'm going to do an upcut right here. Okay, and then this will drop, and then I can roll it out that direction. So right here. Now see, I only have to go in a couple inches, so I'm not going to bury my saw in the wood. Okay, and now it'll roll out easily. Okay, and I didn't need a wedge.